In the remote valleys of Afghanistan, the terrain is as unforgiving as the conflict that has ravaged the region for decades. Our story begins with a routine military mission that turned into a harrowing experience, pushing the soldiers to the edge of their sanity. This is not a tale of the supernatural, but of the very real horrors that can arise in the fog of war. Captain Thomas Walker was a seasoned soldier with numerous deployments under his belt. His team was tight-knit and efficient, each member skilled and experienced. They were tasked with gathering intelligence on a suspected insurgent hideout in an isolated village. The team included Corporal Jackson, the communications expert, Sergeant Ramirez, the demolition specialist, Private First Class Lee, the medic, Sergeant Owens, the sniper, Private Johnson, the newest recruit, and Lieutenant Harris, Walker's second-in-command. The village, perched on a mountainside, had been abandoned for years. Locals whispered of landmines and booby traps left by fleeing insurgents, adding a layer of danger to their mission. They arrived at dusk, the fading light casting long shadows over the desolate buildings. The village was eerily silent, every sound amplified in the stillness. Captain Walker ordered the team to spread out and search for any signs of recent activity. "Stay alert," he cautioned. "This place might be empty, but we can't take any chances." As they moved through the village, they found remnants of the lives once lived there. Broken toys, rusted tools, and tattered clothes told a story of sudden flight and lingering fear. But it was the recent footprints in the dust that unsettled them most. "Someone's been here recently," Corporal Jackson observed, his voice low over the radio. "Could be insurgents," Sergeant Ramirez responded. "We need to be careful." The team split into pairs, each covering a different section of the village. Captain Walker and Private Johnson took the main street, their footsteps echoing off the crumbling walls. The further they went, the stronger the feeling of being watched became. Then, a sound broke the silence, a faint, rhythmic tapping coming from one of the houses. They approached cautiously, weapons ready. Inside, they found an old transistor radio, its battery nearly dead but still emitting a weak signal. The tapping was Morse code, a distress signal. "Mayday, Mayday," it repeated. "Someone's in trouble," Johnson said, his face pale. Walker nodded. "Let's regroup with the others." As they exited the house, the radio suddenly fell silent. The stillness of the village felt more oppressive than ever. They met up with the rest of the team, who had also encountered strange, unexplainable signs of recent activity. A kettle still warm, a freshly extinguished candle. "We need to figure out what's going on here," Lieutenant Harris said, his brow furrowed. They decided to search the village more thoroughly. As they moved from house to house, the feeling of unease grew. In one of the larger buildings, they found a cellar door partially hidden under debris. Sergeant Owens, the team's sniper, moved to open it. The hinges creaked loudly in the silence, revealing a dark staircase leading down into the earth. "Stay sharp," Walker ordered. "We don't know what's down there." Descending the stairs, they found themselves in a crude bunker. The air was thick with the smell of damp earth and something else, something metallic and sharp. "Blood," Lee whispered. "Recent, too." The bunker was a labyrinth of narrow corridors and small rooms. In one, they found a makeshift operating room, surgical tools scattered across a blood-stained table. It was clear someone had been using this place recently and left in a hurry. "Looks like a field hospital," Ramirez said. "But why would they leave so quickly?" Before anyone could answer, they heard footsteps above them. The sound of boots on the floorboards. "We're not alone," Jackson said, his voice tense. They moved quickly and quietly back up the stairs, weapons at the ready. Emerging from the cellar, they saw shadows moving between the buildings. "Contact! 10 o'clock!" Owens shouted. A firefight erupted, the stillness of the village shattered by the roar of gunfire. The team moved with practiced precision, but the enemy was elusive, appearing and disappearing like phantoms. In the chaos, Johnson went down, hit by shrapnel. Lee rushed to his side, working quickly to stabilize him. "Stay with me, Johnson," Lee shouted over the din. As they fought their way to the extraction point, it became clear that they were outnumbered and outgunned. But they held their ground, their training and camaraderie pulling them through. Finally, the radio crackled to life. "This is Eagle 1. We're en route to your position. Hold tight." The sound of helicopter blades soon filled the air, and the team signaled their location with smoke grenades. As the helicopter touched down, they loaded the wounded Johnson first, then scrambled aboard themselves. The enemy fire continued until they were airborne, the village growing smaller below them. Back at base, Johnson was rushed to the medical tent, his condition stable but critical. The rest of the team debriefed, trying to piece together what had happened. "It's clear the village was being used as a temporary base," Captain Walker said. "We disrupted something big, but we might never know what exactly." The official report would classify the mission as a success, but for the men who had lived it, the scars were deeper than any official account could capture. The memory of the unseen enemy and the constant feeling of being watched would haunt them long after they returned home. In the dense, remote forests of Eastern Europe lies an abandoned Soviet-era military base. Our story begins with a NATO reconnaissance team sent to investigate a series of strange signals emanating from the area, but what they encountered was far from ordinary. Captain Sarah Mitchell, a decorated officer with years of experience, led the team. Alongside her were Sergeant David Reed, the communications expert, Corporal Maria Sanchez, the medic, Private Liam O'Connor, the rookie, and Lieutenant Alex Novak, her second-in-command. Their mission was straightforward: enter the base, identify the source of the signals, and report back. The journey to the base was arduous. The dense forest and rough terrain slowed their progress, but as night fell, they finally arrived. The base loomed before them, an eerie silhouette against the darkening sky. Vines and moss covered the dilapidated buildings, and the air was thick with the scent of decay. "Stay close and stay alert," Captain Mitchell ordered, her voice steady but cautious. "This place might be abandoned, but we can't be too careful." They entered the main building, a large, crumbling structure that once served as the command center. Inside, the air was stale, and the floors creaked under their weight. The flickering beams of their flashlights revealed rooms filled with old equipment, papers scattered across the floors, and walls marked with cryptic graffiti. Sergeant Reed set up his equipment, trying to locate the source of the signals. "It's coming from deeper within the base," he said, frowning at the screen. "We need to move further in." As they ventured deeper, they found more signs of recent activity: fresh footprints in the dust, a half-eaten meal, and a fire that had been extinguished not long ago. The feeling of being watched grew stronger with each step. In one of the rooms, they discovered a journal, its pages filled with notes in Russian. Lieutenant Novak, who spoke the language, translated for the team. The entries spoke of the base being used as a hidden command post for unknown purposes, hinting at something dark and sinister that had taken place there. Suddenly, a loud crash echoed through the building. They turned, weapons drawn, but saw nothing. The sound had come from the lower levels. "We need to check it out," Captain Mitchell said, leading the way down a narrow staircase that descended into darkness. The basement was even more decrepit than the upper floors, with water dripping from the ceiling and the walls covered in mold. As they moved through the maze of corridors, they heard strange mechanical sounds and distant murmurs, soft, indistinct noises that seemed to come from all directions. Private O'Connor, the rookie, was visibly shaken. "What is that?" he whispered, his voice trembling. "Focus," Mitchell replied sharply. "It's probably just the old pipes. Keep moving." They reached a large, steel door at the end of the corridor. Reed worked to unlock it, and with a groan of metal, it swung open. Inside was a control room, filled with old equipment and strange devices. In the center of the room was a large, cylindrical chamber, its glass cracked and fogged. As they approached, they noticed a digital timer counting down. The realization hit them all at once. This base was not as abandoned as they had thought. The countdown indicated a self-destruct mechanism, likely a fail-safe left by the original occupants. "Get back!" Mitchell shouted, but it was too late. An explosion rocked the building, sending debris flying and plunging the room into darkness. In the chaos, they scrambled to find each other. Reed's equipment was destroyed, and their radios were filled with static. The only light came from the flickering emergency bulbs, casting eerie shadows on the walls. "We need to get out of here," Lieutenant Novak said urgently. "This place is coming down." They retraced their steps, the building seeming to close in around them. As they neared the exit, they heard the unmistakable sound of approaching helicopters. Their extraction team had arrived just in time. They burst out of the main entrance, into the cold night air. The forest was silent, but the feeling of being watched remained. Back at their extraction point, they radioed for the helicopters. The base behind them was now engulfed in flames, a testament to the perilous nature of their mission. As they waited, Captain Mitchell looked back at the base, now just a dark outline against the horizon. "We need to report this," she said quietly. "Something terrible happened there, and we need to find out what." The helicopters arrived, and they quickly boarded, leaving the haunted base behind. The information they had gathered would be analyzed, and the strange signals would remain a mystery for now. The official report classified the mission as a success, but for those who had lived it, the scars ran deep. The strange sounds and the feeling of being watched would haunt their dreams, a constant reminder of the darkness that lurks in the forgotten corners of the world. War is not just fought on the battlefield. It's fought in the minds of those who serve, in the quiet moments between battles, and in places like that abandoned base, where the line between reality and nightmare blurs. The silent shadows leave their mark, a testament to the enduring strength of those who face the unknown.